to try to make things a little bit more interesting during quarantine, quarantine,
Quarantine?
during quarantine, from quarantines. All right, so ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
One day I'm gonna get a different mug, but for now, always the same mug.
It's nice. I like it. So I'm Marika,
And I'm Coco,
and we are
two friends who like to knit. This is a podcast about knitting. It's called Knits All Right.
Yep.
And we're just doing a little recap. This is going to be not our luxurious chit chat for hours long because I'm under a time limit.
and I haven't been knitting lately. So
yeah, Marika and I are both going through it right now.
There's some life changes happening, and so my response was to stop knitting.
And my response was to break my hands and keep knitting, basically, like just knit as hard as possible. So in light of that, I've limited it. We're just going to go over 2 finished objects and 2 works in progress. But there are a lot of other things because I am just furiously knitting all the time. So if we want to get into it, finished objects. I finished my Elm Solo.
In my favorite color.
So I've shown this before, and I think I showed you guys the yarn. I don't have it with me here, but this is holding basically like a dish towel kind of cotton and linen blend from Lion Brand. It's called Lion Brand Reline, and in the yellow colorway, and then a squash blossom mohair from Purl Soho, the Tussock mohair. The colorway, yeah, is squash blossom, and it turned into this great kind of marigold color. And as far as things I did different from the pattern is that I kind of shortened the body. They suggest doing 3 repeats of this little thing, and I only did 2. And last time I think I showed it. It's hard to know. Marika and I Zoom a lot, so it's hard to know what I showed on the last podcast and what we just talked about on a Zoom. So you can't stop me if I repeat myself. I'm gonna just repeat myself. But I had initially cut it off right here and then started the ribbing immediately, and it looked super tight, like too short. So I went ahead and I just finished out basically this amount down here, and then did the ribbing, which it is, I think it's short for any normal person. I think a person of Marika's height could do the 3rd repeat, but for me, the 2 is good. I usually wear high-waisted pants, but I can wear normal jeans, not these paper bag waist jeans that I have on right now, but I can wear normal jeans with it. And it just like touches the top edge of the normal jeans. So that's good. The other thing that was kind of weird is they suggested you do 4 repeats on the arm. And that would be crazy long.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did 3 and then did the same thing where I finished off the ribbing. Not the ribbing, but this like 1 chain here. I finished this off as long as it would be between the patterns, and then I did the ribbing for the cuff. The one thing they do suggest is that you like fold over this collar and tack it down. I think they say to fold it under and tack it down like that. But I just kind of left mine. The more I wear it though, this happens, like because of I don't know, the way that the cotton and the mohair, like it doesn't have a lot of structure. Mm-hmm. So it kind of curls like this. And I think maybe it probably would be better if I did this because as a turtleneck, it's not really staying up there anyways. Mm-hmm. So I think I think it's fine. Mm-hmm. I might do that. But anyways, this is it. It was cute. I don't think it's very size inclusive, but it's very long. Like the way they suggest it is very long.
Yeah, it seems very like if you had done it to exact pattern specifications, you would have had a tunic on your hands.
Yeah. I will say this thing, because of the mohair, just like gets everywhere. I'm wearing black pants and I just look down at my thighs and they're just covered in like yellow fluff. So that is something to consider. Maybe.
The knitting equivalent of Cheeto dust.
Yes, yes, it looks very much like that. I can't like get my leg up here to show you, but but it's very that. So on a whole, I'm pleased with it. I like this combination. Kind of like it elevates what would have felt like a very rag feeling fabric with the holding with the mohair, and was very cost effective because it was cotton that they kind of intend for you to use it for house goods. But it's not, again, it's not too hot, and it gives me a chance to live my mohair fantasies without overheating, basically. The one thing I will say about it is usually if you hold a wool with a mohair, to rip it back is like it's terrible because they meld together. That's one of the benefits to holding it with a cotton, is that they don't really meld together too much. So when you're ripping back, like I had to rip back to get to, right under the leaf so I can move forward again, it wasn't painful. Not the way that people talk about ripping back mohair is just like, oh, the worst, because the fibers aren't like forming as one. You don't have that like tearing and ripping thing. You just kind of like pull it out. So that's one of the things I really like.
The one thing I have done is I've frogged all the pieces I needed to frog. So I frogged the cotton nightingale and I frogged the balloon cardigan.
Uh-huh.
And the yarn I chose for the balloon cardigan was the worst thing to frog in the world, because it was like, it's fuzzy. And I probably, maybe if I had done it right after I finished the sweater, but the sweater then sat for like a year as an object before I was like, okay, we're reclaiming all of this. And it was a nightmare.
Isn't like, it the Rowan Kid Silk Haze?
I don't know. It's a Rowan, but I think it's an alpaca cotton blend.
Oh yeah.
And it was bad. Like there were literally sections where I had to go the full width of the cardigan, because it's like you knit it as one piece, which is why I loved the pattern, because very few ends to weave in, and like nothing to stitch together or anything like that. But what it meant is I was literally going through with a needle and like picking out individual stitches, and I was like, it took me 4 days to frog it.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I think I have a photo of it before. I'll pop a photo in so everybody can see it. But yeah.
Because it was also like, the reason I'm frogging it is it was like 4 sizes too big. So like a giant garment, and then difficult to rip the stitches out. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah, I had that. Remember when I was trying to hold like a blush colored merino with the green mohair, and it just made this like weird, ugly, pucey kind of color when I was doing the love note. That's the one I had pulled out, and they had just like fused together, and I was like, ugh. But this, when you hold it with a cotton, because the cotton doesn't do that, it's much easier. So I still remain a fan of holding cotton linens with mohair. It's like my favorite thing. So that is the Solo. I thought it was a good pattern. Like I said before, like very easy to understand this lace work and kind of go out and come back in. I didn't make nearly as many mistakes as I usually do. So this one kind of went by without a hitch, except for the fact that I was kind of debating, like I only had one skein of mohair, and then it wasn't quite enough to make it as long as it needs to be. And then I bought a second skein, and now I've got a ton of this yellow color mohair, and I still have an extra ball or two of the cotton, which one day we're going to have a conversation just about like scraps, which maybe I'll show you something later, but it depends on how we do with time. Okay. So moving on. Number 2, I'm going to do a change real quick. Okay. I finished the Seleste by Sari Nordlund. I didn't give enough time for the thing to come down, so that's why I paused there. Sorry about it. But yes, so I saw someone else on Ravelry had a white version of the Seleste, and I was like, need to have it, must have it. And I wanted it for Christmas. And it didn't work out that I was able to finish it for Christmas, but it's still here in time for winter. So I'm really loving it. Up here at the top, this first couple of rows were real touch and go for me. We talked before, I did the bobbles wrong. I just don't trust the way that bobbles are written, which is bad because she wrote it perfectly. And if I had just followed her directions, would have been fine. But for some reason, I was like, no, she must be wrong. And I tried to do it a different way, and it ended up like making the bubbles so big that you would not have been able to see this like little V-stitch pattern. So then why am I doing all of that work? So I had to rip it back and then do it the way that she said to do it. And I still did not believe that it was going to work out, because when you're knitting it, you're looking at it, you know, from this point of view down, and it looks messy. And every now and then you have to like set it down and look at it right side and be like, okay, yes, it's still working. And then you turn it upside down and you keep working. So that was kind of a little bit of a, like it was tripping me up in my mind. Mm-hmm. But the way that she wrote it makes perfect sense. It's not a her problem. It's a me problem. It's always a me problem. So I bought this yarn. This is Novita wool cotton, because, you know, I got to try wool cotton. And I got it on sale, deep sale from Lovecraft. And I was like, this is great. It's going to be like a $20 sweater. And I did the math wrong. I did the math I think I did it for meters instead of yards.
Which isn't a huge difference, but I guess difference. Over the course of like multiple skeins and stuff, I guess the difference does add up.
It added up enough so that I knew when I was doing this, if I wanted to knit it to pattern, I would be 2 balls short.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they're 50-gram balls. Mm-hmm. And it's, 122 yards. So it's not a lot of yardage, but it's enough yardage that your sleeves are short. And it's enough yardage that you can't knit the body as long as the suggested thing. Now, we all know I'm fine with knitting it short. So I knit the body short, you know, they suggest a normal length sweater. And I usually am like 2 to 3 inches short of a normal length sweater. And this is like a couple inches shorter than that. I based it off of my Astragal, the red one that I did with Brooklyn Tweed Dapple. And perfect size for me. It's too short to wear with anything that's not high-waisted, but it's fine. All my sweaters end up being the same length anyways. But the sleeves, I definitely was playing some severe yarn chicken with these sleeves, because when I went to go back to purchase more yarn, because I was like, you like this sweater so much, like just make it the way you want it to be. The yarn was all sold out because it had gone down to like $2 a ball, because it's a discontinued yarn that's never coming back apparently. So that's really upsetting, because I really like this yarn. Sorry. I really like this yarn after having knit with it, and I'm like, why does everything I love have to leave me? So that's such a shame. They did have like kind of, because it's I don't know, They did have kind of pastel-y baby colors, but in this cream, so good. Love it. So anyways, what I did here was, I'm not going to tell you the decrease they suggest, but I did 2-stitch decrease every 2 rows. So I would knit 2 rows and then I would do a 2-stitch. I guess it's every 3 rows. I would knit 2 rows and do a 2-stitch decrease to get it like as tight as possible, because I've done these sleeves like 3 times each. I started at the regular and then I ran out of yarn and I had 1 ball left. And I had 2 balls and I had to finish this, the ribbing on the bottom. So then I had what was left over of 1 ball for 1 arm and a full ball for the other one, but I still had to stitch down this collar. So I decided my little leftover ball, I was gonna figure out how to do this arm with just the leftover ball and then match it for the other one. So that meant I had to like rapid decrease and get this real tight and then basically stop it here. That's all I had yarn for. And so I did the same thing on this arm, but it's cool. I think it's fine. And
it's nice that like if the sleeve length lines up with kind of like the end of the sweater too. Yeah. You know, it does look very intentional.
Which is great. And here in Southern California, it can be very hot on Christmas. So I wanted this to wear like next year as a festive Christmas sweater. But sometimes even when people like want to do an ugly sweater party or an ugly sweater thing, you're just like, it's too hot to be wearing a sweater. Yeah. So I think this will be a good, you know, in between, like it looks festive, but it's not very warm. So loving this. I highly recommend this pattern. I'm sure if you do it, so when I was knitting with this, it felt a little ropey, a little, you know, cotton can feel that way. But once I washed it, it's like really soft to wear and nice. But I imagine if you did this in a really like luxurious kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say cashmere, but something, you know, with a high micron count, I bet this would feel like you would feel like you're $1 million in this. So super cute.
Thanks.
Yes, that's this one. Celeste is done.
Awesome.
I did these sleeves a bunch of times.
They look great. It all turned out well in the end.
I have to move you forward because the sun started to come crazy. So those are my finished objects.
We're only doing the 2.
We're only doing the 2.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. It's a quick.
Sorry if I'm talking really fast, but take a little sip of coffee. Oh, I'm terrified to drink anything while I'm wearing this. The other day I was drinking hibiscus tea and I started to put it to my lips and I was like, you're wearing a white sweater. And I put it down and I took off the sweater and just drank without a shirt on because I was like, I'm not spilling anything on the first day.
Yeah, I'm entering like, you know how you kind of do your knits in like color phases?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting to do that myself and I'm entering like the cream white phase. And I just want everything to have like a cream or a white base. But I'm like, that doesn't really, isn't compatible with the messy person that I am.
I've never noticed you to be a messy eater, but I take your word for it.
Yeah, well, that's because I always wear dark things, so it hides everything really well.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe once I've made all these sweaters and are wearing them, you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
So now we can go on to works in progress. This one's not going to show well. I am knitting the Dragney? Can't remember if there's an R in it or not, so I'll put the thing down. You'll see it. It's by Stephen West. It's made to be a 2-color sweater, like a main color and an accent color. But I'm knitting this for my husband who doesn't really enjoy like showy things. So I'm doing it all in black, and this is not, oh, look, you can kind of see it. Okay. So it's got this detail on the top that kind of looks like armor, I think, but it's really simple. In the pattern, you'll see from the photos, like the part that's not the ridge would be an accent color, and then the ridges would be like the body color. And I have successfully knit the full length.
Oh, wow.
Not a short sweater, but I will admit, I kind of chose a size that fits me. And it's very tight on him. So if anything goes, like if he just doesn't like it, I can wear this sweater.
So he's tried it on at this point.
He has tried it on. And let me tell you, the process of trying on works in progress clothing on men who didn't grow up with like a seamstress mom, or, you know, I grew up, one, with a mom who like sewed clothes, and then two, she also like, I also had dance costumes I had to try on and all this kind of stuff. You learn how to get into clothes without like moving them too much or stretching them out.
Like disturbing things.
Yeah, because pins can stick you, needles, you know, the whole thing. So if you have live stitches on the needle, trying to fit these things on to someone who's not used to doing that is so annoying. He takes off shirts by putting his elbow into it and then pushing the rest of the shirt up with the elbow. And you're like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I've never noticed it before. And then I saw him do that, like use the elbow as a hook to pull the rest of the thing off. And I was like, that is like no way to treat clothing. Anyways, so I've been trying it on myself because I was like, every time he puts it on, it's bad. And then I'm like, no. And he's like, don't yell at me. And I'm like, I'm not yelling. I'm just like, be careful. And he's like, ah. So it gets very like that. And so anyways, instead, I've been trying it on, which means that I've kind of sized it for me. And except that the body's long, and it's been a process. But anyways, yeah, this is what we've got. So I'm gonna do the sleeves next, and I think it's super cute in black. But even he thinks, like with the ridges, that it's a little bit too
busy.
It's a little too like showy. And I'm like, it's just a pattern, man. And he's like, so anyways, I love him. He's great. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that this is going to get a lot of wear, but it is a good first run because one, it's a pattern that's very fast. So it's very, you know, it's fast to knit. This hasn't taken me too long. And I'm knitting it in Lion brand Merino. They're Superwash Merino. So it's cost effective. And like I said last time, he can throw it in the washing machine and probably throw it in the dryer. And since it was not too expensive, I'm not worried about this sweater. So we're going to test and see, how does he do with the care of the sweater? How does he do with the fit and the look and the length of the sweater? And then we will reassess and possibly make more sweaters in the future with this as a base. So I am glad I chose something that has like a low emotional value. Like I'm not too ate up if this yarn doesn't work out. I'm not too ate up if like he doesn't really like the pattern, because I think it's cute and I'll wear it. But this is one that it's going well, but it's been a learning process as far as like dealing with a client basically. For my knitting. So just to do the sleeves on that one. Nice. Damn. One more?
Do you have time?
Yes. Oh my God, this is gonna be record time. We're just speeding through it. Okay guys, I have been working on the Wool and Honey by Andrea Mowry. This
The weekender didn't put you off
off of her
her pattern.
her patterns. No, I think the Weekender wasn't a great one to start with, and there are so many patterns of hers that I wanted it. Well, remember I had done the Velour before.
Oh yeah, that's right. And that one turned out like wonderfully.
That one turned out wonderfully. I wear it like all the time. You see it on me at work all the time.
I saw it on you yesterday.
Exactly. So great. And when I put it on yesterday, I was like, I should probably knit this one again in a different fabric, like, a different yarn.
Have one for every season.
Pretty much.
So just two, because there's only really like 2 seasons in LA.
Yeah. And if I did it really fitted, it's kind of a vest. So, everybody's on the sweater vest grind. So I could do that. Anyways. Right. So I am knitting this one out of, sorry. It's talking down into the thing. So I'm knitting this one out of this Mondim. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. In a taupe colorway. So like Marika's saying, like I'm into neutrals. So the black for my husband's sweater is a little bit, it's not bad because I had done the Kiru hat in that really dark slate color, and then I'm working in that black, and I kind of cast on my bouquet sweater in that black and white. Then I had this sweater in white, and now I'm into this. Anyways, it makes sense to me. I don't know why I have to justify to you, but so this is where I'm at with this guy. This is the back seam. And I think that this bothers people, that there's this little jog from where you're transitioning from purling to knitting every other round, which is not me giving you anything away of the pattern. Like that's just how you do a garter stitch in the round. But I really like it. I think it's cute because I often struggle with like, where's the back of the sweater? And I like the little faux seam telling me like, there it is. Good to go. This is such an addictive pattern. And I have messed it up right here where I didn't read ahead that you weren't supposed to connect this one. So I went ahead and made the stitches as if they were going to connect. And then it was like, nope. So I doubled up what should have gone this way to be 2 going that way. But I don't think, great scheme of things, it matters.
Yeah, and it's on the back.
So just wanted to say for all of our viewers who've watched, yeah, I mess up a lot, but half the time now I'm just making decisions on like, can I live with that? And this is totally something I can live with. Not even worried. But that's not just on the back, it's on every single one of them on this round. So, but I'm still fine with it. I don't care.
But then it's consistent.
It's very consistent.
Yeah, make it look intentional.
Consistently wrong. So this whole thing has gone super quick. I cast on like the ribbing a long time ago, and then I did a whole bunch of other projects. And once I finally got down to this, I think I did all of this in just a couple of days. But that's a product of stress and a product of just how addictive it is. This is a fingering weight sock yarn. So I was telling Marika, it's a lot like her West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply or 2-ply that you use to make those really long socks. It is toothy, and I was just looking for an alternative to the Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And I think this works, but it's not, I'm not sure it's going to bloom as much and fill in as much, but that's okay because it's knit pretty tight. I have to say that the Loft, like I've used that one on my Tecumseh, so it's like a DK weight, and I've used a fingering weight yarn for a DK weight sweater, and it bloomed enough that it filled in all the gaps and made a really light fabric, and I love that. But then when I used it on an actual fingering weight project for the Weekender, I felt like to me it was like a little bit of a, like, why am I using this yarn on that project? Like I could have used less of it to fill in more. Anyways, I think this is a really good yarn though, a really good value for the amount of yardage you get on this one. So very excited about this. I think I'm gonna like hit a wall once I start getting into the body though, because you know the rest of it's just all garter. Is it garter? Yeah.
Yeah, you're still on the garter kick.
I know. I didn't think I liked it, and then I've started to do it, and I'm like, I just like how the patterns kind of pop off of it, you know?
It helps. It really makes things stand out.
Yeah, in relief, I feel like. So those are the major projects I've been doing. I've got 9 minutes. In the extra time, I'll show you quickly just something I've been doing with my leftovers.
Okay.
For Christmas, I got a loom. And I've been working on weaving.
Yes! It looks so good.
Because I'm a little bit desperate to figure out what to do with all my leftovers, I asked my husband for a loom for Christmas so that I could weave. And it's been great, actually. This thing has I cut up some bags and just made this fringe from like, you know, sometimes you get those little canvasy linen bags. This is some leftover like red heart that it's so fuzzy and it just gets everywhere. And I was like, I'd never want to make anything that sits on top of anything else or I have to wear with this yarn. And it's turned into like a really lovely thing to use in a weaving. And then I've got the leftovers from my Koiva? Yeah. Koiva. From the Mungo there. This is leftovers from my Velour. This is a kind of a tape yarn from Wool and the Gang that I never came up with something to do with, and I only bought one ball. So I decided to use it there. And then this is the leftovers from my Woolfolk that I used in that Getting Warmer cowl. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do up here at the top, what my solve is going to be. But I figured like over time, these take a surprising amount of time. I was kind of shocked at how long it's taking. But I think if I was just playing with a bunch of different stuff. And I think if I did it a little bit more simply, it wouldn't take as much time. Also, you can see kind of tight here. It's like sucked in a little bit because I'm new at this. But this is one of the things that I've kind of gotten into in order to figure out what to do with my scraps. And we'll see. Maybe over time, I'll give some of these away because there's only so many you can use in your house. Anyway, but that is a little thing I'm also doing because I'm super stressed out. So I'm like, all the fiber crafts.
Mm-hmm.
So, in conclusion, I'm not really sure how many more of these pods we'll do where it's just me talking, but maybe a couple. So sorry about it.
Yeah, I am in the process of moving currently, and so like I'm just trying not to complicate things by knitting while I'm trying to pack things and sort things and get rid of most of my possessions. So I'll probably be on hiatus from knitting for another month. And then I'll be back at it. But I have made some yarn purchases to finish projects that are on the needles currently, and Coco and I have talked about actually knitting the same piece at the same time this year for the first time. So that'll probably be the bouquet sweater that will start this summer. So I've started sourcing some yarn for that as well.
Yeah.
So
I swatched for it and then I started it and then we decided, no, we're really going to do it. So I put it on hold and I'm not going to show it until we kick off our knit together. Basically.
Yeah. And I've got some crazy ideas for mine.
Insane, like absolutely bonkers, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
So, appreciate everybody stopping in for this quick check up. I just figured we should do it before I had like 12 sweaters to show you.
Yeah, before you had knitted a whole new wardrobe.
Yeah, but I am excited that this was actually on my Make 9 and I'm gonna get one Make 9 done because after like putting that whole thing together, I'm much more serious about like staying committed. So we'll see how it goes and how long this lasts. But you know, the month of January, I was committed. February, let's see what happens. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry, no like after chat because I gotta run.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Happy knitting.